authorities in Los Angeles have been giving more details about their investigation into the deaths of the actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa.
The world was left in shock upon hearing the news of Hollywood legend Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, passing away in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Now to some breaking news, and Hollywood actor Gene Hackman has been found dead in his New Mexico home.
A commanding presence on screen, Hackman departed in silence, leaving behind a story filled with triumph, heartache, and unanswered questions. Though he was widely loved for his iconic roles, his life had been marked by deep personal struggles, from abandonment to loss. A concerned neighbour first alerted the authorities after noticing the couple had not been seen for an extended period.
Discovered inside their home in Santa Fe on Wednesday after a neighbor called police to conduct a welfare check. Now, a man who identified himself as the subdivision's caretaker called 911 after finding the bodies.
When police arrived, they discovered both Hackman and Betsy had passed away in separate rooms. Strangely, one of their 3 dogs was also found dead, while the other 2 were still alive. The eerie scene left many unsettled, as no one expected such a peaceful life to end in solitude. The reaction of Hackman's family raised even more questions. His daughter, Leslie Ann Hackman, 58, stated that the family was still awaiting official findings regarding the cause of death. Initially, she and her sister, Elizabeth Gene Hackman, speculated that their father and stepmother might have succumbed to carbon monoxide poisoning from a possible gas leak. However, investigators found no evidence of such a leak.
Telling TMZ that she suspects carbon monoxide poisoning may be to blame for the death of the 95-year-old, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and their dog.
Instead, the official report suggested that the couple had likely passed away days earlier, as their bodies showed signs of decomposition. Despite his age, Hackman appeared to be in good health. Leslie revealed that he enjoyed Pilates, yoga, and regular workouts, showing no signs of major health concerns.
Breaking news, you're looking at video of one of the last times Oscar winner Gene Hackman, a known recluse in recent years, was seen in public.
While the world mourned the loss of the legendary actor, Leslie admitted she wasn't entirely surprised by his passing. Living in California, she had not seen or heard from her father for months, though she insisted that everything had seemed normal. Shockingly, instead of rushing to New Mexico to arrange funeral proceedings, Leslie and her sister were seen dining at a Denny's restaurant in Burbank, California, the day after receiving the tragic news. According to the Daily Mail, they appeared composed and cheerful, raising speculation about their response to their father's passing. Hackman's grandson, Tim Hackman, also shared insights into the family's dynamics. He revealed that Leslie was the only family member who maintained contact with Hackman, but even then, their conversations were infrequent. Tim himself had not seen his grandfather in over a decade, with their last meeting occurring at his father's funeral. Despite his success, Hackman's personal life was filled with pain. His father, a violent man, abandoned the family without a word. His mother passed away before she could witness her son's rise to fame. His best friend, Norman Gary, took his own life, adding another layer of tragedy to his story. Yet Hackman never allowed these hardships to break him. He faced life with strength, determination, and resilience, refusing to be defeated by adversity. His passing marks the end of an extraordinary journey, one filled with challenges, perseverance, and an indomitable spirit. A Hollywood icon, a man who endured loss yet continued to fight, has left behind a legacy that will be remembered for generations to come. Gene Hackman was not just a Hollywood legend. He was a man shaped by hardship, resilience, and ultimately profound loneliness. His life journey was filled with struggles, from a troubled childhood to an isolated final chapter. But was his solitude a choice, or was it forced upon him by fate? From an early age, Hackman faced a turbulent home life. His father, Eugene Ezra Hackman, worked in the newspaper printing industry, but his unstable job meant constant moves, preventing the family from ever settling. His father was a strict and often violent man, making home a place of discipline rather than comfort. Seeking refuge, young Hackman would retreat to the basement, a space he carved out for himself to feel safe. Then, at just 13 years old, his world shattered. One morning, while playing with friends at the end of the street, he saw his father drive by and wave. That was the last time he ever saw him. His father had abandoned the family without a word, leaving Hackman with a deep sense of loss and abandonment. This moment haunted him for the rest of his life. In a 2001 interview on Inside the Actor's Studio, when asked about that memory, Hackman struggled to hold back tears. It was a wound that never fully healed.
It was a sort of a casual wave goodbye.
Yeah, I was down the street playing with some guys, and he drove by and kind of waved. And
After his father left, Hackman and his brother moved with their mother into their grandmother's house in Danville, Illinois. But instead of finding comfort, he faced emotional neglect. His grandmother never truly accepted him, and his mother, though the only one who believed in his dreams, struggled with her own demons. These early experiences planted the seeds of rebellion and independence that would define Hackman's future. Despite these hardships, he built a career on determination, refusing to be defeated. He was a man who fought his way to the top, earning his place among Hollywood's greatest actors. But in the end, even legends can't escape the grip of loneliness. After leaving Hollywood in 2004, Hackman chose a quiet life in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with his wife, Betsy. No more flashing cameras, no more red carpets, just the simplicity of everyday life. But was this the peace he longed for? Or was it the result of a life where too many relationships had been broken? Some people left him, while others he pushed away. The last public sighting of Hackman was in 2023, dining with Betsy at a local restaurant. The photos showed an elderly man, frail yet still carrying the aura of someone who had weathered many battles. But when he took his final breath, no family gathered by his side, no children mourning his passing. His death was not just the end of a Hollywood icon. It was a testament to the deep loneliness of a man who had lost too much. And yet, even after his passing, controversy followed. His daughter, Leslie, sold the exclusive story to the Daily Mail, a tabloid notorious for paying sources to exploit sensational news. The public questioned whether she was truly grieving or simply capitalizing on her father's death. Would a heartbroken daughter think of selling a story just as the news of his passing broke? Gene Hackman's life was one of triumph, pain, and solitude. In the end, the lingering question remains: did he choose to be alone, or did fate decide it for him? In 1962, tragedy struck Gene Hackman in a way that would leave a lasting impact on his life. His mother, who had long struggled with alcohol and the hardships of life, passed away in a devastating house fire. The fire ignited after she fell asleep, with a lit cigarette in her hand while intoxicated, quickly engulfing the house in flames. It was not just the loss of his mother that tormented Hackman, but the unbearable sorrow of knowing she would never witness the success he had fought so hard to achieve. The one person who had believed in him was gone, unable to see her son become a star and reach the heights she had once hoped for him. Despite the emotional distance and coldness within their family, his mother had always seen his potential and reassured him that he could become a talented performer. But love alone was not enough to mend the deep wounds of his past. The pain of losing her, coupled with the indifference of his grandmother, instilled in him a profound sense of loneliness and a longing for love that never seemed to come. Hackman rarely spoke publicly about this tragedy, but in an interview, he once revealed that if he could choose one film for his mother to watch, it would be I Never Sang for My Father. The film mirrored his own life, a story of loss and complicated familial relationships. In it, Hackman played Gene Garrison, a son struggling to connect with his aging father, desperately seeking love and acceptance. The role was more than just another character. It was a reflection of Hackman's real-life struggles. Like his own life, the film was a journey of exploring emotional deprivation, a yearning for love, and an unfulfilled longing for acknowledgement. Things he had been deprived of throughout his childhood. Through this performance, he expressed the deep sorrow of unresolved pain, a wound that time never seemed to heal. But life did not allow Hackman to dwell solely on those wounds. The years that followed brought another devastating blow, the sudden loss of his closest friend, Norman Gary. Gary was more than just a friend. He was someone Hackman could trust during difficult times. A renowned entertainment lawyer, widely respected in the film industry, Gary had been instrumental in handling Hackman's legal affairs and contract negotiations. He was a man of dedication, known for his ability to navigate complex situations with ease. Yet, beneath the surface of his professional success, he faced financial troubles that were never fully explained. In 1982, Gary made the heartbreaking decision to end his own life. For Hackman, it was another crushing loss. The pain of losing a dear friend was compounded by lingering doubts, constantly wondering if there was anything he could have done to prevent the tragedy. The circumstances surrounding Gary's financial troubles remained a mystery, leaving Hackman with unanswered questions that would never be resolved. For a man who had already endured so much loss since childhood, witnessing loved ones disappear one after another led him to gradually close off his heart. He sought meaning in his work rather than in personal relationships, using his career as both an escape and a means of survival. Yet not every loss leads to defeat. With a survival instinct forged from a lifetime of struggle, Hackman chose to persevere. To better understand the hidden depths of Gene Hackman's tumultuous life, I Never Sang for My Father is available on streaming platforms such as Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, or rental services like Google Play Movies and Apple TV. His performances continue to serve as a testament to the resilience and complexity of a man who faced loss but never let it define his legacy. Gene Hackman was not just a Hollywood icon. He was a man who lived with an intensity that extended far beyond the silver screen. One of his greatest passions outside of acting was speed. Racing wasn't merely a hobby for him. It was a way to regain balance in the high-pressure world of fame. His love for racing began in the late 1970s when he joined the Sports Car Club of America, a fiercely competitive arena where both amateur and professional racers shared a passion for speed. But Hackman didn't stop at amateur competitions. He pushed himself into larger events, determined to prove his skills. One of his most memorable milestones was competing in the grueling 24 Hours of Daytona in 1983. Not only did he participate, but he also drove for the legendary racer Dan Gurney's team, an honour few could claim. He even went on to win the Long Beach Grand Prix celebrity race, showing that he wasn't just there for the experience, he was there to win. However, with victory came danger. While competing in the 6-hour endurance race at Sears Point Raceway, he found himself behind the wheel of an Audi Quattro, one of the most advanced racing cars of its time. Disaster struck when the brakes locked up, sending his car tumbling mid-race. Fortunately, Hackman walked away unscathed, but the crash was a stark reminder that speed always comes with risk. True to his witty nature, he later joked that he should have had a stunt double for that moment. His love for cars wasn't confined to the racetrack. Over the years, his personal collection reflected both his powerful personality and evolving tastes. In the 1980s and 1990s, he owned a Toyota Celica GT, the very car he raced in competitions. As time went on, his collection expanded to include some of the most exciting and stylish cars available. A Porsche Panamera, blending power and luxury. A Mercedes E-Class, balancing comfort and class. A Ford Mustang Shelby, an American icon of speed and performance. And a Tesla Model S, showing his appreciation for modern technology and the future of automobiles. Yet for all his accomplishments, Hackman's life was not without hardship. After the emotional shock of losing his best friend to suicide, one might think fate would finally grant him respite, but it did not. The storm of marital discord soon followed. To cope, he immersed himself in his work, taking on role after role, not to escape his emotions, but to keep himself from being consumed by solitude. His relentless dedication during these years transformed his grief into motivation, delivering some of the most powerful performances of his career. His unwavering commitment cemented his status in Hollywood, earning him 2 Oscar nominations and reinforcing his undeniable talent and screen presence. But while his career flourished, his personal life suffered. Hackman buried himself in work, filming non-stop, moving from one set to another, travelling from city to city. His wife, Faye, and their children gradually became distant figures in his life. The phone calls home became less frequent, and his presence at family dinners turned into a rarity. In a 1989 interview with the New York Times, Hackman admitted, "You become incredibly selfish as an actor. You spend your entire life craving recognition, and when success finally comes, it's hard to say no. Money, fame, temptation, it's all too much for a poor kid like me to resist." Faye had waited patiently, but in the end, the distance between them had grown into an unbridgeable chasm. In 1986, after 30 years of marriage, they officially divorced. His first marriage ended quietly. No disputes, no battles. Just the lingering regret of a man who realized too late what he had lost. In an interview with GQ, when asked about any advice he would give his son, Hackman bitterly admitted, "I was away from him for too long. I have no advice to give." Was it fate that decided this ending, or was it a choice he made himself? Either way, the cost of exchanging family for success was too high, and he came to that realization too late, filled with bitterness and sorrow. And though this may not have been a path he consciously chose, somehow fate always seemed to conspire to push him into a world of solitude, one where, in the end, he was truly alone. Gene Hackman was never one to conform to expectations. While many Hollywood stars indulged in collecting rare and extravagant supercars, he remained loyal to a single vehicle, a Toyota Tundra. It wasn't a flashy supercar or a rare collector's edition, but a practical, powerful, and reliable truck. For a man who had lived life on his own terms, it was the perfect choice, strong, unpretentious, and built to last. A sighting of him at a gas station in Santa Fe stepping out of his Tundra often left people astonished. It wasn't the truck itself that surprised them, but the fact that a Hollywood legend had chosen such an ordinary mode of transport. But that was exactly the point. For Hackman, life wasn't about grand displays of wealth. He had come to understand a simple truth. The value of life isn't found in expensive possessions, but in peace and contentment. The Tundra symbolized the lifestyle he had embraced after stepping away from the spotlight. A life free from noise, unburdened by the need for grandeur, yet still filled with quiet strength and unwavering determination, just like the man himself. Even after leaving Hollywood, Hackman never stopped challenging himself. His creativity found new avenues, most notably in literature. Over nearly 2 decades, he published 5 novels, each showcasing his deep perspective on history and human nature. From the high seas adventure of Wake of the Perdido Star to the gripping tale of revenge and love in Payback at Morning Peak, Hackman proved that his storytelling talents extended far beyond the silver screen. His crime thriller, Pursuit, carried echoes of his iconic role in The French Connection, bridging generations of readers with the same intensity he brought to his films. But writing wasn't just about telling stories, it was about self-expression. In a rare interview, Hackman revealed that writing gave him artistic freedom, allowing him to control his own narratives without Hollywood's constraints. Through his novels, he continued to inspire, proving that true artistry never truly fades. Yet there was another creative pursuit Hackman quietly nurtured: painting. Unlike his acting or writing, he never sought public recognition for his art. "I don't want anyone to see my paintings," he once admitted, valuing the privacy and solace it provided. For him, painting was not about praise or attention. It was a form of release, a way to maintain balance in life. It was a reflection of the same mindset that led him to choose an unassuming truck over a flashy sports car. Hackman never needed validation, only purpose. But for all his passions, one of the greatest loves of Hackman's life was racing. It wasn't just a pastime, it was a way for him to embrace speed and challenge with the same intensity he brought to his films. Every car he owned told a story, reflecting a different chapter in his life. Racing was a statement of passion, an extension of his fearless spirit. However, like all great passions, it came with its limits. Eventually, Hackman had to step away from racing for the sake of his health. He candidly admitted that aging had affected his reflexes, and in a sport that demanded split-second reactions, there was no room for compromise. "You need to maintain quick reflexes, and when they start to decline, you have to stop," he once said. "You begin thinking about old age and realize you have to take care of yourself more." It was a difficult decision, but one that showcased his pragmatism. He understood his limits and accepted them with grace. Through it all, Hackman remained a man of resilience, passion, and quiet strength. Whether on the track, the page, or the canvas, he lived life with intensity and purpose, proving that creativity and determination never fade, even when the stage lights dim. Gene Hackman was more than just a legendary actor. He was a man of resilience, toughness, and an unbreakable spirit. From his early days in the military to his later years filled with unexpected challenges, he never backed down from adversity. His life was marked by hardships, close calls, and constant battles. Yet each obstacle only made him stronger. Even as he aged, his determination never wavered, proving that true toughness isn't just about physical strength, but the will to keep moving forward. One of the most defining moments of Hackman's youth was his decision to enlist in the United States Marine Corps at just 16. Seeking an escape from a difficult home life, he lied about his age to join. However, the strict discipline of the military clashed with his rebellious nature, leading to frequent run-ins with superiors. Despite these struggles, his role as a radio technician took him across the world, even to China during the Mao Zedong era, exposing him to new cultures and experiences that would shape his worldview. But the adventure came with danger. He suffered a severe motorcycle crash, colliding with a tractor and sustaining multiple broken bones, a close call that nearly cost him his life. After leaving the Marines, Hackman realized military life wasn't for him, but the lessons he learned stayed with him. He found his calling in acting, where his rugged persona and undeniable talent made him one of Hollywood's most respected stars. However, fame never changed who he was at his core. Outside of acting, he found solace in the simple joys of life. Whether it was cycling through quiet streets or attending Jacksonville Jaguars games as a devoted fan, these were the moments where he could be himself, away from the constant spotlight. Yet Hackman's real-life toughness often mirrored the roles he played on screen. In 2001, an unexpected altercation in Hollywood proved this. While driving, he accidentally collided with another car. The two young men involved, unaware of his past as a Marine, confronted him aggressively. But Hackman, at 71, wasn't one to be intimidated. Without much hesitation, he threw a punch, defending himself as the street fight escalated. The police soon arrived, breaking up the brawl, but no arrests were made. The incident only reinforced his reputation as someone who never backed down. Years later, in 2012, Hackman faced one of his closest brushes with death. While cycling in Florida without a helmet, he was struck by a truck. News of the accident spread quickly, leaving fans fearing the worst. Yet, in true Hackman fashion, he defied the odds and walked away with only minor injuries, leaving the hospital the same day. Though he continued his cycling routine, he became more cautious, never riding without a helmet again. That same year, his protective nature was on full display once more. While walking with his wife Betsy in Santa Fe, a homeless man verbally harassed her. Without hesitation, Hackman confronted the man, slapping him in defense of his wife. No charges were filed, and the incident only solidified his deep sense of loyalty and protection for those he loved. Hackman's resilience was tested again later that year when, at 82, he was struck by another vehicle while cycling in the Florida Keys. Emergency responders rushed him to the hospital, but once again he recovered quickly, suffering no lasting injuries. These incidents were just further proof of his incredible toughness and refusal to be defeated by life's challenges. Despite the hardships he faced, Hackman never allowed himself to fall. Every setback became a lesson. Every pain turned into a story worth remembering. Through it all, he remained a fighter, both on screen and in real life. His legacy isn't just in his legendary performances, but in the way he lived his life, with strength, resilience, and an unshakable will. The passing of Gene Hackman and his beloved wife, Betsy Arakawa, on February 26, 2025, left fans heartbroken. It was hard to believe that someone so full of life, so unwavering in his spirit, could leave so quietly. Yet his legacy endures. Through his films, his writings, and the countless stories of his determination, Hackman ensured that he would never be forgotten. Share your thoughts on Gene Hackman's remarkable life in the comments below. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to continue following us on this journey. Click on the video on your screen to hear more about Gene Hackman's incredible story.